Everyone. I hope you're staying safe and healthy in your homes. My name is Brooke. I am a doctorate extern, and today I'm going to be talking about social distancing and mental health. So, you've been hearing that word all over the place, the news, social media. Social distancing has really been explained as the key to getting ahead of COVID-19 and everything that's going on. So what is it? It's keeping a safe distance from other individuals. They're recommending 6 feet or so, and staying out of groups of 10 or more people. It did start off that they were recommending 50 or more, and now it's dropped down to 10 because of how fast this thing has been spreading. It's really been effective so far in other countries, and they're really trying to get it more widespread here so that way we can get ahead of this thing. So although it's really the key to getting ahead of COVID-19, it also has some potential negative effects on mental health. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, things that we can do to kind of avoid that happening. Social distancing is important, but we also need to make sure that we're taking care of our own mental health. So before I get into that, just wanted to go over some common reactions people might be experiencing as they find themselves having to stay home and not really be around other people. So the first thing is people can become kind of depressed, kind of down, having that low mood. Human beings are creatures of habit, creatures of routine, and that routine is obviously being disrupted for us in a lot of different ways. People used to go to school, have work, be able to go to religious services, and just be around people. And now we find ourselves in a situation where we can't do those things. A lot of religious services have shut down. Schools obviously are shut down. People are being encouraged to work from home if they can. So that interruption can really make people feel really down and feel like they don't necessarily have control of everything that's going on. Boredom is also a huge thing. So, if you were feeling bored before, you can call up a friend and maybe go to the movies, or call up a friend and go over their house and hang out. But with this whole social distancing going on, we don't have those options anymore. We're really reliant on just having people in our house already, or using digital means of communication, but we can't have that close social proximity anymore. So that can really make people feel bored of just having the same people to hang out with, the same activities to do within the context of their own house. So that's another common reaction. Also, anger, frustration, irritability. We're losing a kind of our freedom to a certain extent, our agency to just do whatever it is that we want to do at a drop of a hat. So we no longer can just decide to go to the movies. We can no longer just decide to go to a friend's house. Everything kind of has that consequence in our head of what will happen if I wind up doing this. We can also become frustrated at different people making the decisions for us in terms of our jobs, in terms of the government saying what we can and cannot do, ultimately for our own safety. But it can get really frustrating to be told that we can't come to work and make a living for our family because of various reasons when we may or may not think that we're at risk. So a lot of frustration towards maybe the government, towards bosses, towards people that may or may not be following social distancing to the same degree that we are. So anger, frustration, and irritability can definitely be a factor. There's also some that may be frustrated for those that aren't social distancing the way we are, and kind of making this thing prolong and getting more people sick. So whether or not it's warranted, there could be a lot of frustration and anger. Also, just by being in the same household as somebody for an extended period of time where you're not used to it, there might be an increase in sort of irritability because we're not used to being around people in the same house and kind of navigating that for long periods of time. We're used to having the option of going to work, going to school, or something like that. So there's also the risk of feeling stigmatized. So I'm hoping that most of the people that are watching this have not had exposure to COVID-19, but you might be. And that way, they're recommending, if you have, to really, really, really follow social distancing more so than those of us who maybe have not had that exposure. But if you have, there's a risk that if people know, that you might feel kind of stigmatized in that way. People don't want to be around you, that people think that you're dangerous or whatnot. So that's another reaction, that you might kind of have that feeling of being stigmatized, ostracized from your friends or your family. So we're all kind of vulnerable to the effects of social distancing, but there are some populations that are more so affected than others. The older population, so geriatric individuals who might really rely on social contact to get through some of their other challenges and don't have that anymore, specifically because the geriatric population is more so susceptible to COVID-19. So they're definitely a vulnerable population when it comes to social distancing. They no longer can have people visiting nursing homes or anything like that because they're at risk. Another vulnerable population are individuals with pre-existing mental conditions. So whether that's anxiety, depression, a substance use disorder, individuals that have already pre-existing mental health conditions are at risk because a lot of the recommendations that individuals with these conditions have are to not self-isolate, to be around people, to be social, to do things that are active and outside of in the community. And right now, with the whole social distancing thing going on, it seems like we're kind of giving contradictory advice in this way. We're telling you to not self-isolate, but we're telling you to social distance. But there is a way that we could still do that. We just have to do it in the right way. It's just really important for individuals that might have some of these pre-existing conditions to really be mindful about how you're social distancing to protect your mental health. And then healthcare providers that might have sort of that constant exposure to individuals that might be sick during this difficult time. They're also at risk to how social distancing can affect them if they're not talking about what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, the increased stress of everything that's going on. So how do we cope with social distancing for the betterment of our mental health? So creating and following a daily routine is really important. I know some individuals get really excited about the potential of getting to sleep in, getting to do whatever you want without really having a plan. Although it might be great for the first couple of days, it's really important that a routine is created, whether that's an eating routine, whether that's a sleeping routine. It's really important. I've had a number of people tell me that they're just like snacking all day, they're eating constantly, which might be okay for the short run, but in terms of the long run, eating constantly, it's not going to be great. You really need to make sure you're having your 3 meals, maybe a couple snacks in between, but just not constantly eating. Same with sleep. It might be nice the first couple of days to sleep until 12, maybe miss breakfast because you're so exhausted and you don't usually have that opportunity to sleep in. But it's really important to keep a normal sleep routine where you're getting your 8 hours a night, ideally, and not getting 14 plus, despite having the option of doing that. Also, staying connected with individuals. Obviously, you're restricted with what you can do. You might not be able to go over friends' houses or anything like that, but there's so many different digital means that you can communicate with others. We're really fortunate for that, whether it's FaceTime, whether it's Skype, Zoom, Snapchat. Social distancing doesn't mean social isolation. There's so many ways that you can be in contact with people, and we really sort of advocate for you to do that rather than having no contact with people, especially if you're living without anybody else in your house. Doing meaningful things is also really important. So I know, at least for me, my normal routine is generally jam-packed with a lot of different stuff. And there's a number of things that I'd want to do in my house, or either responsibilities or things that I might enjoy that I always kind of throw off until another day because I just don't have time. And now we have the opportunity to do it. We have time in our house to do some spring cleaning, to do some painting, to do tasks that we just keep on putting off, that we can really gain a sense of accomplishment if we take a priority to do those things during this time when we're stuck in the house anyway. Spend times with family members. So some of us are fortunate enough to live with other people in our immediate family, or live with friends, roommates, significant others. So generally our daily lives don't allow us to spend as much time with those individuals in our household as much as we like. So rather than getting upset by everything that's going on, we can really take this as an opportunity to reconnect with our family in a lot of fun and unique ways, whether it's doing art projects, going on walks, spending time in the yard if you have one, playing board games. Really take this opportunity to reconnect with them. For those of you who may not have family members or friends that you live with, but you have a furry friend, a pet, it's also really a great opportunity if you're social distancing from other people to spend some time with your animal. I know I have dogs myself, that's why I'm wearing these headphones so you don't hear them barking in the meantime. But cuddling, that contact with animals is really, really therapeutic and really helps with the mental health component of social distancing. And exercising. So obviously a lot of gyms are closed. You're kind of limited with what you can do, and some of you might have a yard to do some exercising in, some of you might not. Some of you might really be stuck in the house. But there's a number of things that you can do inside of your house that's really important to try to make sure that you're getting those that blood pumping. So stretching is really important. You could do yoga. There's various different things on YouTube that can get you going if it comes to like Zumba or anything like that. We can become really stagnant when we're in the house, so it's really important that we're doing things that get us out and about, getting us some exercise. I know I just took a walk with my dog just before coming to do this. We really need to be mindful in this time that we're getting outside when we can in a safe way and exercising in a safe way. So I hope this was helpful. I believe that we're going to be continuing to post stuff like this to be supportive of you all during this challenging time. So stay tuned and stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope this was helpful.